Okay, I'm just going to say that again, that we forgot to record the beginning. So I'm saying one sentence again, which is for this call, we don't want this to just be about the specific bridge house we're holding space for in New York, but about bridge house in general and people taking that leap to next culture in general. So to not approach anything on this call with energy of, there's this specific project that's already defined, but really, what am I connecting to? And yeah, I guess for me, it feels like my whole life or the past at least 7 or 8 years has been culminating in a bridge house. When I was about 20, I was living in a music venue and hosting these all-night raves, doing a ton of drugs, having these really expansive experiences. And there was always something missing. There was always something missing for me, and that was radical responsibility. There was all of this community, and we would meet around food and connect, and then party until the sun came up, and then there was always this thing of radical responsibility, and I didn't have the words for it. And I've sort of been hunting for it ever since joining different communities, and so for me, a lot of my own purpose and my own necessity comes from this place of wanting this thing that feels so nourishing for my being that I've started to get tastes of in labs, in ETBs, in the space held during an emotional healing process, and feeling myself just unfolding, and then asking myself the question, what why isn't it like this always? Why am I not in that high level fun collaboration always? And for me, that really involves, yes, I can hold that space for myself, but it really also involves seeing what can flow in the space between two people or between four people or between six people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dolly. And as I've been thinking about my authentic necessity for this work as well, I've been taken all the way back to being a kid and growing up with a bunch of cousins and aunts and uncles around, and always wanting to be with them more. And I was always getting in trouble for, like, no, you just need to be at home. And I'm like, but I want to be with everyone all the time. And so I've always had this deeper yearning of being with. And as I've gotten older, I keep trying things out, and it's like, oh, it's not quite right. Yeah, sure, I love the control of living in my own place and making it just so, but I have this longing to be with others, and so that's not quite right. And so trying, living in community and just wanting more. And I currently live with 22 people, and it's like there's so much opportunity of how we can be with each other and what we can create together. And why isn't it happening? Why can't we be more present with each other, more connected? I see you all day long, and I'm feeling this gap. And so it's from this like longing and this continual like miss. It's like I keep missing out on all these connections, and knowing, from these glimpses of being in lab, yeah, I can connect with people on a deeper level, and I want to be doing this all the time. And so I'm really entering this space with so much unknowing and so much fear. I had this like settling in my body of like, yes, this is a project that I need to do, and I don't know how. And am I going to be able to hold the space for this? And all of these fears. And right now I'm a go, and I'm gonna feel all of that fear. I feel fear in this space, bringing this project to all of you, and yeah, and that's my guide right now is I know that I need to be doing this job, and so I'm here and I'm giving it a go, and I'm happy to be here for this step with all of you. And Dolly, I would love to hear if we have time for everyone to share, what is their purpose for them here. We have time for that.
So I'm not, you're the other space holder of this call.
Great. So yes, I would like to know what brings you here. What is your authentic necessity for Bridge House?
Well, I'd like to speak about not the necessity per se, but the very profound resonance, even through wordless space, that I feel a huge resonance in walking the path of convergence, and I definitely, my personal experience is that I'm a nomad pirate of the next culture right now in this period of my life. And the yearning is so intense to come down to ground and root. It's very strong, like a very somatic, full experience in my body and being. And I've been connecting with many, many communities around the world. I consider myself part of many communities and circles and families, like their family, everybody's family to me. Because yes, I feel that. I feel growing. Meredith, you spoke about fear, and that's exactly what I feel. Like I'm feeling so much fear, but that fear is driving me. Oof, like that. So I wanted to speak to the space of wordless connection, like a magnetic field of bringing us together. And I'm a traveler currently, and I'm an explorer, very deep explorer. And I'm being taken to California in June, July, probably extending into being in the US. I'm following guidance and also the trainings that I'm so drawn to, being in connection and profundity and to share. Yeah. And it's feeling a drive for me to root. So I'm being driven by that force of desiring to root. I've, I've been here in Nicaragua for, yeah, this is where I was born, and I come back here all the time. And it's still like this force, this lifting me into a levity of still walking into other connections and communities, bridge building. That's what I've called my path too. So bridge house. So finding profound resonance on many levels. Thank you. I want to say thank you for calling this meeting. Thank you.
I'm going to just take a moment. Thank you, Tamara. Mariel just messaged that she has to leave this room because of bad internet connection, and she's going to watch the recording. Just going to take some time to message her that some of the purpose for this call is to put that energetic stake in the ground of I have an authentic necessity for Bridge House. And so I'm just going to be absent for the next minute while I connect with her on this.
We'll get water. I would like to add one thing. I'm sorry.
Go.
Yes, that I find myself living in community constantly, even through the travels. It's like a trail that I go from one community to the next and building like a shorter distance between them. That's my experience right now.
Mm.
Music is a guiding force in my journey, and it's also cohesive for community to converge, commune. And recently, yeah, I could share for a long time this whole experience of an experimentation that I'm doing with music and space holding for emotional processes in a group setting. And I'm writing a report, so to share. Yeah.
My necessity, I can track it back to in similar ways to childhood experiences where I wanted to be in the village. I wanted to be in children's culture, and it didn't really exist. There were there was part of it, but there were things missing, and so much of what for me was missing was conscious space holding, and especially when it came to acknowledging more bodies than the physical and mental body, and to being on the new map of feelings rather than the old map. And then when I became a mother and it started to experiencing the really the kind of design for hell in a way of being isolated with a child, with children, with a partner, and without space holding, being on the old map, and being so like having the experience of being energetically, emotionally, physically, and mentally consumed in the space of my home. And just this deep, like something different is possible. Just clarity that I've somehow always had. And then through the evolutions of different kind of family household, out of family household into really a kind of version of early version of Bridge House that was the necessity for me at the time, was because I was so unplugged from modern culture. I didn't have ways yet of creating income without plugging back in. And so part of my early experimenting was really about sharing, so that those of us who wanted to experiment with creating community uh, didn't have to plug in, at least not full time, into corporate structures. And so I learned a lot about what not to do, too, about this, like what you're saying, Dawe, about missing radical responsibility and these dependencies that happen that were very child ego states, gremlin running amok, and then uh, often me kind of playing the pseudo parent, unconscious parenting. Like my parent ego state just got triggered, and it was this, yeah, this icky again, a kind of recipe for hell. And then and yet my 5 years of being an originator of a community house, I called it the Awakening House Temporary Permaculture Ashram. It There was so much experience from that served. And when the Bridge House kind of distinction emerged, I was like, oh yeah, that's where I've been headed all my life. Yeah, similar to what I heard all of you say, really. And then another bridge that's come to light for me is this bridge from the top of the technology ladder back down to earth. Like there's this bridge between the culture I'm in right now and being ever more bridging into next culture, and that I could go to a space. It might be an emotional healing process space, it might be a dojo, it might be a training space, it might be a bridge house, it might be a radically responsible contexted project. And when I go in and when I go out, I'm going toward next culture over and over again. And then this part about using technologies too, or using human made technologies that keep me from really being with the earth and being with the Gaian human in front of me. There's this kind of way of coming up away from it, which is very similar to me, from coming up out of my heart into my head and relating from there. That also, in terms of what is used in the space, for example, even such, kind of mundane sounding things as reusable plastics, to come down into not using reusable plastics more and more, things like that. So the 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 time that I spent in the possibility coaching bridge house in Czechia last fall was very much more inner stuff really starting to come out about the old box patterns that I have from my childhood. And I would, like, in a way, there's this like flashing red light. It's like, caution ahead, all of those patterns, all of those deep emotions. The bridge house is a perfect space to have them come up. And when the space holding is there, and especially when there's a particular room that's always a dojo space that can be used for processes at the drop of a hat, and other spaces that can serve as that if that one's being used. Yeah, this just, to me, this is a design for heaven on earth, a design for like radically responsible being with aliveness, adult and beyond collaboration, archetypal creation of humans here. So yeah, I'm just I'm sad I can't come to the bridge house for the time that you are doing it, because I've already committed to being in Europe for that time in service to tourist technology training, which just is so much part of a bridge house. And yeah, I will be watching and listening and cheering for you, and yeah, maybe, who knows, maybe joining in a future experiment. Thank you.
You will be part of the bridge house, Nicole. We were looking at the energetic diagram of drawing, the flow of energy in and out of the bridge house. And yes, there's the part of the diagram that's the circle of people on the farm in New York. And then there's the bridge house that includes the local community, because I want us to go into the town and deliver our non-material value outside the PM game world. And then there's the whole circle of the possibility management game world that is going to be giving us feedback, and we'll be giving them feedback, and you're part of that. And so you are part of the bridge house. And I what you said really landed in me, this thing about hell. And in my community three years ago now, one of my close friends had a child, and we were in a very small house, 9 of us crammed into a little 4-bedroom house. And somehow it was just that we cannot have a child, a newborn baby in the community. And she had to move out. And I know it's been a dream of hers to be in a community to raise children together, and somehow it just was not in our realm of possibility or capability to create. And hearing what you said, I really feel that pain, and watching her as she's just retreated into this nuclear family existence, and seeing the part of her that keeps fighting for next culture getting more and more covered. So with this Bridge House project, I take a stand for really putting it out there that other ways are possible. There's a road to this kind of hell, and there's a big road that zooms right past it.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Well, I would like to share into the space. Thank you, everybody. Like, there were so many pieces of the different shares that resonated a lot. I definitely, Nicole, loved what you said about a design for heaven on earth. I mean, like, wow, I just felt like joy come through my body and with that idea, and I see it. And the reason I'm here, yeah, Dawa, you just brought up insular family, and Meredith, you brought up this idea of like hanging out with your family when you were younger. And I have those memories too. I came from like a very insular family. It was like dad, mom, sister, me. And like we didn't even have any pets, you know, and it was just like, wow, the four of us were in this tight unit and stuff together. And my family, my parents were very insular. And so we only saw like my cousins, you know, like once a year, maybe twice if we were lucky. And I just loved it. I loved it so much. And I even didn't mind when, like, I remember my grandparent dying when I was young, like in second grade. And I was excited because I got to be like there with my whole family and running around with my cousins. And yeah, it was just never enough. I just wanted to be in a bigger family unit. I oftentimes felt trapped in the insularity of my family. And I also, you know, have had this experience. I lived in LA for 15 years, and I would say like I was a community builder there with my friends from grad school, and we would gather, and I would always host these dinners and these art salons. And then I saw people like, yeah, get married and have kids and like buy their house and just separate out into these tiny, and then not be as available. And you know, I had a different path. And so I saw my community kind of dissolve in a certain way, like disintegrate. And there's a lot of grief for me actually around community. At the ETB in Miami that I attended, when we were doing one of the exercises and moving from person to person and just like sharing what was coming through as we were looking in the other person's eyes, I just loved it so much. And just being there in the ETB, like the conversations, I mean, it was just constant. We were just always diving in. We were just going super deep the whole time, you know, trying to fall asleep at night, but no, we couldn't stop. And it felt so nourishing and so like life affirming. And after that exercise, when we came together in a circle and we were all shoulder to shoulder, I just like, maybe the deepest sadness that I've ever experienced just like came through, and I just had to wail out because it was the grief that we don't do this all the time. And that's what I said. These words came. I'm like, why don't we do this all the time? And I just felt it. And so I've been on a search for community, that people that want to go deep, that want to collaborate on life together, on eating together, on making art together, whatever that kind of art is. So I feel like I experienced community in high school. Like sometimes when I go visit different communities, like I lived at Tamara Peace Research Center for a couple months as the chef, and that's like a community. And then there were like also people coming and going, guests coming and going from the space. Tam actually is part of that community, and that's how I knew about it. Tam had invited me to go there, and it felt like high school. That's the only thing I could think. I'm like, there's something high school. It'd be like maybe that's the only other time where I felt like I was in space with humans that much and able to just be sharing and playing sports and like doing these things in community. And then so when I go to a community like that, I'm like, it almost feels like high school. And so I think that high school aspect that I'm tapping into is that lack of the radical responsibility. Like I think that somehow there's a connection there. So yeah, I love to circle with people. I am happy to be here. I think that's the share for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks.
This question of why we're here and what else seems so important to me that I want to split into some breakout rooms and drop a layer deeper. And what I'm thinking is, I guess we'll do one group of 3 and one group of 2, but for a client to go, the client, you select yourself, and then the other people you ask, what is your pain in modern culture, or what is really your necessity for creating Bridge House, and feel out which of those sentences or whatever variant of the sentence comes up to you lands the most. And I think maybe for the group of 3, 4 minutes each to just keep answering that question and to speak from the unknown, and so the possibilitators, you just create a space of vacuum. You create a space of vacuum for this person to say what they haven't been able to say on this first round altogether.
Mm.
Is that clear? Do I need to send out instructions to the breakout rooms?
It'll be 8 minutes altogether, and the group of 3 just
No, it'll be 12 minutes altogether.
12. Okay.
And so the group of 2, you have really a lot of time to go deep. Okay, and then I'll just say, since I'll also be a participant, manage the time yourself. So it's 12 minutes total.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Why is it not putting me in a room? Okay.
Hi, Nicole.
Oh, I'm setting a timer for 4 minutes.
Yeah. For me? For you? Do you want me to ask you questions?
Yes, go.
What was the second question after what is the necessity?
What is your pain?
So yeah, Nicole, what is your pain now still?
My pain is about it's about something about how it takes a lot for me to initiate, and that where I go, if I don't initiate, if I don't take that big step of initiating, that the spaces of the shared spaces of radical honesty and intimacy and responsibility and connection don't happen. until I'm with others who want that. And the pain is this starving of my energetic, emotional, archetypal body as I move through the world as a next culture nomad among people who still use standard human intelligence software. And this somehow, like, I can get one leg up and I can start something, but unless the other person meets me there and then I get the other leg up, I don't get to go into this space of radical relating, except with other people using possibility management. And missing that, just missing it.
What is your pain still?
It's the clarity that until I'm in a space that's contexted in radical responsibility with Taurus technologies in place, really I can only be expanding my box at such a rate, and that it's something like the only space that I've discovered so far is a bridge house as a ongoing live-in possibility lab, and wanting that, and yeah, this anger about even here now, this is where my transformational community partners are available to me, only through this machine. And that when I step out into the space with the people I'm with in person, it's like it's just slippery to be able to hold and stay in a relational space that where radical honesty is happening. It's like it's as if I'm standing on a muddy slope and I just slide back off. And I want to develop those muscles that keep me on like a mountain goat on a face that seems like impossible to stand on.
Thank you, Nicole. But by my timer, that was
Yeah.
4 minutes.
Thank you.
I'll go.
Dawe, what is your necessity for creating a bridge house?
My necessity is that I'm still too afraid to be vulnerable with my mother. Yeah, my necessity is that even now, after so much time, there's still many moments where I have to completely close the energetic space between us. And the pain around this is something like the way I've learned to live in a home or in a community is to hide. And my necessity is to to be able to go liquid past that and have a space where I can go past that. And
what's really going on for you about that?
yeah, there's a story. I have the story that everything is too much, including love. that it's not just the four feelings that are too much, but also love. Yeah,
Everything
I
is
have this
too
story
much.
that it's right that uh I should cut off love with those that I'm around. That's not wanted. And my necessity is to heal that.
Your necessity is to heal this story that you have to cut off love with those who you're around.
Yeah, to that I have this story that if I love, that means other people can kill me or other people can uh, isolate me.
If you love, other people can kill you, other people can isolate you.
That if I love, I'm wasting my time.
That if you love, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, yeah, and I can feel everything that's replaced that I've carved out this empty column in myself where my love would be, and what's rushing through it is still the rat race, still this competition with other men and and making money and being important.
Will you say more about your necessity about that?
Yeah, I want to be a whole human again.
Be a whole human.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, thank you. So over time,
Is it the time for the whole group?
Not
no,
yet.
you have 4 minutes.
Okay.
Tamara, what is your necessity for creating Bridge House?
Yes, thank you. There is my child ego state. That my experience is that I'm starting to experience my adult ego state and distinct from the child ego state. And my pain is that the survival, the survival of being in society and evolving, not evolving only, but relaxing my nervous system to a point of knowing that I'm here connected with life. I found a lot of resonance in both of your shares, and Dawe's about hiding within community is also one of my survival strategies. And
Tamara, what is your pain in your life in modern culture?
that I'm isolated. I feel isolated. I feel that I have created for my game worlds in which I am a Jedi going through and finding the resonance. Sometimes I fall into pits because, like I mentioned before, my reality of being a nomad, it's very intense already for my nervous system right now. I have a lot of pain emotionally and psychologically to not be connecting with people in a real way, in a way that is even not even known by my experience with my family, my parents growing up, but that I always knew and I've always known. And I have that connection with certain people to go deep all the time. My necessity for Bridge House is to actually, at this point in my life, at time in my life, just really insert myself into the steps that are going to define the rest of my life, and choosing it really and going for it. And I found this with the community in possibility management, which I still feel very new to, but that I just know that this is the anchoring. I just know it's not a refuge. I have to make that distinction. It's like meeting life. That's how it feels. I don't know if I'm saying everything I want to say. I feel very much in my head here, feeling quite tired from traveling a lot, feeling hot in the head, overworking, overworking so much, and really knowing that it's one game and I don't want to be playing that game anymore. I want to be investing my energy, yeah, my life force into impulsing a next culture, not only for everybody, but for me. I have to say that. I want that. I'm not a hero. Yeah, don't want to be. It's one of my gremlin things, tricks too. So
Thank you, Tamara.
You in the main room.
Yeah, let's go back to the main room.
Did we lose Tamara?
She appears to be in breakout room limbo.
It's a thing, hey.
I found yeah, I wish I'd set out more time. It was almost like it took me the 4 minutes to really get to where I was feeling some of my own pain. And what I found was this thing around I'm making this bridge house because of how it feels whenever I'm home with my mother, and how I just see the complete blockage of love I have, and I'm in this bridge house because I don't want my life to be like this. And I'm creating this bridge house to yeah, because I care about a culture where a mother and son would develop the matrix, the and the love to be able to really be two beings together. Or any other sharings?
Thank you, Dawa. Yeah, I would like to share. Yeah, something that opened up for me is really this possibility of the unknown. And I have this drive towards what could be, and this like full curiosity towards how we can be living and collaborating together. And one thing that was kind of helped me understand this was this drive that I witnessed, that I experience in lab and ETV, of like wanting to take more responsibility as we are in community. And this part of me that opens as I put more of myself out there. And I'm like, these are moments that I've experienced with small things like lunch. And so when we're living in community and directing that like energy of increasingly like going towards more responsibility, like what can we do, what can we create? And it's really that unknowing that's pulling me. And another component that really landed in me is how much I care that this is rooted in the earth, in in a space that I'm, committing to. And physically, like, I care that I'm planting my garden. I care that I'm growing food. I care about what I will be able to create, like with the earth. And with this bridge house, this is my step towards my long-term community that I want to be landing in. And yeah, these are two new pieces that I've been able to find a more deeper connection to.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll share something about what came up when I was talking to Meredith, because I do feel it relates to Dawe, what you were sharing about being with your mother. And I was remembering just time spent with family where like no one was talking about what was really going on and how painful that is for me. My dad was dying of cancer. We were at dinner as if nothing was happening. Nobody kind of brought into the field, not that that had to be all that we were focusing on, but I could just feel the avoidance of the feelings that we were all having. And my dad was really good at avoiding feelings, and I saw that my whole childhood. And yeah, just going into different spaces that kind of mimic my insular family where no one's talking about what's really happening. And I say really, and what I mean is just feelings, I guess, just feelings about life circumstances, about how hard things can be, about our shadows and the underworld, and just desiring so much to be with people that are willing to go there.
Thank you. something that I discovered from being in the breakout room was that in the here and now, I have this very personal necessity to, yeah, to really build my mm, in a way build my archetypal body, and that I I need a team for that. That's not like I've been a lone wolf in so many ways for so long, and I'm really good at being a lone wolf, and I am so scared to really show myself. And before possibility management, I was taking all kinds of risks showing myself, and they weren't going well because this shadow was bad and these feelings were wrong, and nobody wanted to hold space for that. And in finding other possibility managers who have the clarity that it's not about right, wrong, good, bad, it's about holding space, it's about discovery, it's about emerging and evolving and transforming. And I've been part of this game world now for 3 years, and I'm just so hungry for to be in a space where this is the space, and that it's not all on me to make it like that. Because I, as a space holder, I've been unconsciously competent and incompetent in many ways space holder, and I need other space holders who can see things I can't see, and I need to take away more layers of even my actual, there's so many parts of me that are still so scared to show themselves, even in this safe, kind of safe to be dangerous container. And there's this urgency about, I mean, Beth, you talk about watching your father die, and I also had that experience, and there's so much not unpacked in me yet. And I don't want to be at the time of my dying with all of this left unseen, unworked through. I want to be here as a being. I want to, just even if it's just for 5 minutes before I go, I, I want I want to experience being here without all of these stories in the way. Unmute, Dolly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
I'm really deeply touched by what everyone is sharing. And I don't exactly have the words for it, but it just regrounds why there's something utterly important about lighting this. It's like this bridge house for me now is like about lighting this small candle as of how it can be.
I have the impulse to bring into the space the fact that not living in community is an ancestral trauma, And I feel for myself that like we all represent different kind of generations. I know that the four of us on this call are all different ages. But I just see how my family was kind of acting on like their family and how we just got further and further away from each other. So yeah, that just came through, and it's like we're creating a new culture of community, and like there's so many examples in the past to look to too for information. I think it's both, you know.
I would like to, oh,
Go for it, Meredith.
I feel really called to go there. And I want to know like what is the world ready for? And I think bringing in this piece of we've known so much of what, you know, being in community works. And so what now? Like, what is the world ready for now?
Mm. Yeah. Mm.
Will you start, Meredith?
Yeah. As I share that question, all of a sudden I feel myself like, oh, well, the world, it's so big. How can I begin? And it's such an idea that I can't even really wrap my mind around, like, what is the world? And so I'm really like gonna bring it back a little bit more locally of like, what is my community ready for? What am I ready for to be living in uh, this world?
Mm.
I feel really open to this idea of being on each other's team to unveil the true beings that are hiding often. And I'm ready to, you know, be in a space where that fight for that sense of ourselves as a team is our goal. And yeah, I get so excited about these other projects that we can create together, but having that be the guiding force of like, I'm here to be with you.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm ready to bring that level of seeing the people I'm with and not letting go of that. Like I see who you are and I'm ready to be there with you. And I'm going to go on this journey so we can be together.
Mm.
What else are you ready for?
I'm ready to be a space where people can come to when they're ready to be seen and when they're ready to find something new and to hold that context is an offering of this deeper way to connect. And yeah, I'm ready to be the person who's ready to feel, and people know that. And I think that like that level of vulnerability of kind of being the weirdo, like, what are you trying to do right now? I'm ready for that. So people know that, yeah, we can go into it like that whenever you're ready.
There's something like just below the surface for me. The two questions are so, I don't know if they're different, but what is the world ready for, and what am I ready for? What what I'm ready for is pressureless expansion, and yeah, what I'm ready for is to stop this big underworld I've been in of trying to pressure myself to transform in different ways. And yeah, and what I'm ready for is to turn my attention outward toward the person I pass on the street, or to my friend who isn't into feeling, or whatever. I'm ready to extend my love uh, without first checking that they are good enough and deserve it. Yeah, what the world is ready for is for people brave enough to slow down and feel. I talked about this hollowness in me that gets filled up by the rat race still. Um, yeah, and I scan all of my friends that are in that, and I can scan that they're ready to stop too. Yeah, the world is ready for, yeah, the world is ready to to stop and take a deep breath.
for me. The question of what is the world ready for? And listening to Dawei, your answer brings up like just a different question, but it's the same question, just different wording. What is like the planet ready for? Like planet Earth. And I think of Gaia, and I think of Meredith talking about being ready to plant the tree. And I'm like, yeah, like Gaia is ready. And I think asking us to come back to her and be in intimate partnership with her and with nature, and to, yeah, she's ready for us to listen to her and be in reciprocity, like just to feel us and we feel her. And I do think that it's somehow the capability of planting trees and worshiping her and celebrating the earth, like it's just more joyful with more people like circling. It's just, I can see it, like I see us holding hands and just like doing an ancient dance and being like, yeah, and all touching the trees. And she's definitely ready for us to come together in community and celebrate her and treat her with utter respect. And I'm ready to listen. Like I'm at a place now where this like land listening has been this like concept. I've been like conceptually like, oh yes, I'm going to listen to land. I'm going to listen to land. And I'm at a place where I'm ready to land somewhere and take the time and slow down and approach life in a patient way and truly listen, like truly be in the stillness so that I can hear like her, like, so I can hear the land, so I can hear nature, without all this, like, yeah, pressure and like pressure, like Dawi was saying, an internal dialogue, judging right and wrong, keeping me focused on like monetary things, and or keep me in some sort of, I don't know, sense of lack. I'm ready to let go of a lot of that and to just sit and listen with other people, and to learn together. And I'm ready to incorporate like bright principles into just like my everyday existence. I'm ready to be with other people who care about that too. And I'm also ready to keep exploring Gremlin. Like, I feel like it's edgy and I'm into it. Like, I'm ready to keep coming forth clean. Coming clean is the word that comes, but it's like coming forth with like the shadows so that they can just be seen and yeah, come forth without judgment. So, but listening comes to me as a really major one for some reason. Listening to the earth and listening to each other. Like the map of communication and the map of listening, like literally just gave me this whole new way of approaching. And yeah, I'm ready to be in gratitude.
It it makes me wonder if this map isn't complete, if there's somehow this sort of Gaia listening, or listening on behalf of Gaia.
Mm.
And yeah, when I was speaking, I said world, and I was speaking from a place of what is Gaia ready for. it seems right. This farm will be creating this bridge house at. It's quite a large farm, like 400 acres with a lot of woods and I think beavers. Is that right, Meredith? Beavers? A beaver pond?
Yeah. And the great blue herons have created nests in all of the downed trees. So there's just all these nests in this beaver pond. I think there's a lot being said there.
Hmm.
What comes to me here is that the the map of listening, and then there's this map of speaking. And as you said, Dawe, that maybe this kind of listening to Gaia or as Gaia also goes with speaking for Gaia or as Gaia. And yeah, some of my grief is this experience that I have of myself, that for, especially since I became a mother, even when I was a anti-nuclear activist and a anti-deforestation activist, that this Gaian, this information from Gaia that was coming through me to be shared, and this experience that the world wasn't ready to hear it. Even through giving birth, my it took 5 years before my mother was ready to hear that I, as a Gaian woman, can give birth not in a hospital, and for her to be like, ah, oh, yes, that's accurate. Even though I had already done it, she still had this resistance, and to keep speaking in this very low intensity way to say, this is what's possible for humans as Gaian beings.
Hmm.
And what you said, Dawe, about this being lighting a candle of how it can be. This is what I long for, is this. I mean, in a way, there are in the world already these like demonstration sites. And that this is even less a demonstration as an actual window into how it can be for Gaian humans to live with Gaia as Gaia. And if the world's not ready for that, I want to do it anyway. Because I want to experience that. And I want to also leave some kind of legacy of possibility for people who come after me.
Hmm.
When I leave, I'll leave 4 children behind. And I want them to be able to say, we got a rich inheritance from our mother. They won't get stuff or money from me. But if they can get a living example of how to be a Gaian human, I can't think of something I would have wanted more from my own ancestors.
Hmm.
And I missed out on that in a way. I got lots of examples of how not to be a Gaian human. And I made a vow to Gaia that I wouldn't pretend to want to settle onto land before I was such a yes about the land and the people I was with. Because I don't want that experience again of taking on something that really, they say it takes a village to raise a child. I raised 4 children with no village. It takes a village to set up a village. I don't want to be trying to set up even the seed of a village as a bridge house without a village, without a team. There's so much to do. The Start Over XYZ game has 500 and growing websites to as seeds for how to live in archiarchy, how to create archiarchy. It's like for all that to be on my shoulders, or even on two people's shoulders, or at least with three people, you have space, where it's not just this, it's this, and there's like nothingness in the middle to have movement in.
Mm.
And yeah, as I'm here, I'm on fire. I'm writing all kinds of possibilities down about what can I start doing this week here to start sowing the seeds of Bridge House, of this, of Bridge House as a, almost as like, I know that Sophia Magdalena's Bridge House is called Dandelion, and for me, Dandelion has been an inspiration my whole life, that there's this plant that will grow anywhere, and that all of modern culture is dead set on ripping it out and killing it off, and that the next culture, kind of Gaian humans, are dead set on spreading those seeds everywhere, because they will go into a crack in the pavement and start breaking it apart. And to unpave everything that's been paved is like such a fitting metaphor, I think, to this shifting out of next culture and letting it crumble and be overgrown by Gaian culture. So Bridge House as a dandelion is like, bring it on, and I will fill up my pockets with those seeds and just throw them everywhere. And I'm so glad to be here today and be getting these. Oh, here's something I can do already here now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole.
Mm.
We've just 10 minutes or so left. And yeah, our ideas for, or the next steps that are apparent to us, we're going to make a Telegram group for this Bridge House. But I think even people who at this stage are not committed to joining, we'd want them to join and just be in the process of how we hold space for something like this.
Mm.
And we'll hold a regular call as we're working on our codex, and yeah, we're wanting it to be a public collaboration. What I said about this energetic circle, it's like, yeah, it's not just the group of people living there. In a way, it's for all of us. And so that will be happening. And then we're also going to hold space for, there's a few processes that have become clear are going to be important. So one is distilling shadow principles of the Bridge House. So we'd like to hold a group process for that at some point. And then also for other things like that, what are the group healing processes or group initiations, and we'll be having this as a lead up toward actually instantiating the Bridge House in physical form, but the energetics of it are already started.
Mm.
Is there anything that I can put in my calendar already so that I can make sure not to book other things at the same time?
No, but we'll get that to you soon.
Okay.
It feels so great to have your force on this project, Nicole.
Mm.
Am I missing anything, Meredith?
No, that's everything.
Okay. And then I guess some logistics, actual logistics about what we're planning.
Wait, can maybe after logistics, but I, I would actually like to open that question to Beth and Nicole of what are we missing? Maybe if
Hmm.
after logistics.
Okay, so the logistics are both Meredith and I are going to ETB lab in Poland, and then I'm additionally doing one more lab after that. And so the last lab in Poland ends September 10th. And so we'll start the bridge house basically a couple days after that last lab. I'll and and so we invite all potential participants to also come to those initiatory spaces in Poland, and then go from there back to New York. And yeah, it'll be, so maybe that's about September 10th that or September 12th ish, that we would start the bridge house, and then it'd run for 3 months until mid December. I accidentally did something with the recording. And I guess that's the only logistic, and there would be some sort of contribution fee for being part of the bridge house that would fund the going ons of the bridge house, and then our own trainings. But Patricio will be a mentor for this project, and we'd have to negotiate with him. And like one idea we have is to hold a bridge house participants only lab at the end of the 3 months, and have Patricio or another trainer come, or something like this. And to really have structures where, this is all just right now undefined, but daily morning check-ins where we just lower our numbness bars and start the day by being with, and then after that maybe a 1 hour space where a rotating space holder would get to practice holding space for a group, and also to create intimacy for us. And we also imagine maybe lunch and dinner teams, and then who knows what else. But that, at least for me, some of my purpose is also to really go through more initiation, to bring myself into next culture. So I would hold space for a weekly or twice weekly EHP dojo. And yeah, again, we're on a huge nature farm, and also a short drive from these really beautiful mountains in New York. So I think nature and Guy will be a big part of it.
Yeah, and some things that I'm really excited about holding space for are, creating opportunities to connect with nature, as well as, providing opportunities for us as a community to connect with our aliveness. And I imagine there will be a lot of joy, and like really allowing this joy and connection to flourish through, certain practices that we'll do together. And another thing that really I'm excited to bring is, this supported nourishment. Like, we are all here on each other's team to be fully nourished in all of the ways that we can be, and having that opportunity to support each other and nourishing all four bodies.
We have just 2 minutes now, but are there questions or things we missed, or what are you wondering?
Have you got a name yet? for this particular bridge house?
Gaia and listening bridge house.
Love it. Mm.
Gaia Bridge.
Mm.
We'll work on it.
If you have a name, let us know.
I think I'm complete for now.
Great. Unless there's something from you, Beth, then I was really nourished by this space. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye for now.